Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Thursday, February the 5th, and our final Ice Guys show before the Olympic break, and our final day of NHL action before the Olympic break. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and we've got David down in Raleigh with us, as he always is on Thursdays, ready to break down this Thursday NHL card. And like I said, this final NHL card before the Olympic break. We'll have some, just to give you an idea of what we're going to be doing for the Olympic hockey. We're probably going to go the pre-recorded route, with the Olympic hockey shows next week. And because we're going to be recording them at night, we have no choice but to record them at night because these games are going to be morning and afternoon. So what we decided, we're probably going to do pre-recorded shows, then post them to the Ice Guys YouTube channel. And we'll have probably a Tuesday night recording for the Wednesday and Thursday Olympic hockey games. And then we'll just do the night before for the rest of the preliminary round. So the Friday games we record on Thursday night, Saturday games we record on Friday night. That kind of thing is what we'll be looking at throughout the Olympic hockey tournament. But full schedule to be determined. But we can tell you we'll be recording them at night, pre-recorded, no live shows, and then we will be posting them to the Ice Guys YouTube channel. But again, we will have you covered with every single Olympic hockey tournament game throughout the event, breaking it down as usual, side, total, player props, you name it. So like I said, very excited about that, but very excited about this final day of NHL action. We got some good games. We've got the Battle of Florida. It's always a heated rivalry with Panthers and Lightning, so we'll see if that comes to fruition again, the bad blood with those two teams. First, we'll look back at last night and tell you what team where the break is coming at just a horrific time for them. The Columbus Blue Jackets. Oh my gosh. 4-0. Very impressive shutout win. I don't know if that game could have started any worse for Chicago, that they're down 2-0 and they lose Wyatt Kaiser at an injury on the blue line. So it was a brutal start to that game for Chicago. But for Columbus, it was a very workmanlike effort. Excellent defensive game. Again, that's back-to-back shutouts for two different Columbus goaltenders as well. Elvis Merzlikins got the shutout against New Jersey. And then, of course, we saw Jet Greaves last night getting the 4-0 shutout over Chicago. So tremendous 10-1 run for the Jackets since Rick Bowness took over. And like I said, unfortunately, the break's coming at a bad time for them. They probably want to keep playing. They're now just 2 points back of the New York Islanders for third in the Metro Division. And if you see in our chat, Nicholas Earl is a little bit nervous now about those Jackets just on the heels right now of that New York Islanders team. But like I said, it's been a great run to get them back into playoff contention. Montreal, very impressive. I'll tell you what, not only Montreal, but let's give some credit to Sam Montembeault. That was a really nice performance from him last night against Winnipeg. It's been a tough season for him, but 36 saves on 37 shots, allowing just one goal, and Montreal takes care of the rest. 5-1 win over the Montreal Canadiens with the 5-1 win, rather, over the Winnipeg Jets. Very, very impressive victory for them last night. And like I said, one of the better performances that Montembeault's had in a while. Back and forth, wild game with Boston and Florida. This was a very entertaining hockey game. No sweat for first period, both teams to score over trifecta, which we talked about liking that on the show yesterday. Easily comes through. Boston leads 2-1 after the first. Florida with 3 unanswered to take a 4-2 lead. Bruins tie it with 2 goals in the third, and then it obviously ends up going to a shootout, and Florida gets the victory. Now, they probably would have wanted to win that in regulation, keep Boston from getting any points because they only pick up 1 on Boston, but still, it was a game Florida, an absolute must pretty much to entertain any thoughts of getting back in the playoff race. And they were able to get the job done. Great tilt in this game in the first period with A.J. Greer and Tanner Jeannot as well in this game. That was a great fight. There was a great fight in the Battle of Alberta as well, which I'll mention. It was a phenomenal fight, one of the better ones, I think, I've seen this season. Not much to say here other than the gift that keeps on giving did give us another gift last night. Minnesota overs. It's just a beautiful thing. 18-2 now is the run for this first period over in the last 20 or the 18-0 to the full game over in the last 20 Minnesota games. Even the first period over is on one hell of a run now. I think that's at 13-1 in their last 14 games. And that, how about the fact that the full game over cashed in the first period? 3-3 after the opening period. Doesn't get much better than that. Like I said, this has been a phenomenal, just trend and streak that we've been riding game in and game out. And this was just a phenomenal game because we had the first period over easy, the full game over, and best bet cashes in the first period. And we hit the draw too, as that game goes obviously past regulation. And Minnesota gets the overtime winner, courtesy of Jared Spurgeon, to beat Nashville by a score of 6-5. Matt Boldy gets a first period hat trick in that game for Minnesota as well. So, like I said, goals galore. And this Minnesota team, man, they are lethal. I think we can call them that now. They're a very lethal offensive team, especially with the power play. Now, they are starting to show more holes defensively and goaltending sometimes as well. That's also why they've been a monster over team. They're scoring a lot more. They're also giving up a lot more. And you put the two together, that's how you get an 18-2 overrun like Minnesota's been on. So they will have to try to clean that up, but they do get another 2 points there in that game. Utah, 4-1 against Detroit. We do have to give Perlow some credit. He really thought this was a tough spot for Detroit, and it did look that way. They lose 4-1, although they did outshoot Utah for the game. But Utah got some good goaltending from Vejmelka, and Utah was definitely far more opportunistic with their chances, and they get the 4-1 win, Utah, over the Detroit Red Wings. We saw, obviously, Colorado beat San Jose 4-2. San Jose was down 2-0. Credit to San Jose. They rallied back. They tied it, but Colorado ends up going ahead on a Josh Manson goal. Not your most likely goal scorer, but he gets the game winner. Brock Nelson adds the empty netter for the 4-2 win for the Colorado Avalanche. That game was not that great for me. We had San Jose goal in the first period. The over by Fekta fell short in that game. Askarov actually faced a ton of shots, and it was actually pretty good, even though Colorado won that game by a score of 4-2. We talked about this yesterday. Dallas team total over, full game over, 5.5. These bets were easy. What a night for Jamie Benn. 2 goals, including the game winner in the final minute of the third period. 23 seconds left to beat St. Louis 5-4. I'm going to say something right now. The Olympics are different, right? We've got from the NHL. And we know with Jordan Binnington, he's had a terrible season here in the NHL. Last year he did as well, and he flipped the switch, and he looked like, George Vezina, Marty Brodeur, Patrick Waugh in the Four Nations face-off. Is there a chance that happens again, and Binnington goes over there to Milan Cortina to represent Canada, and he plays great there? Yeah, it could happen. I don't know. I'm a little bit more skeptical he's going to just be able to flip the switch again this time around. And I'm also going to throw in there not just Jordan Binnington. Jake Ottinger hasn't been great down the stretch here for Dallas the last, I would say, week or two. And throw in Logan Thompson, and we'll talk about Logan Thompson, who's going to return from his injury tonight for Washington. But I'm starting to think with these goalies for U.S. and Canada, team total over for some of their opponents. If any of these guys are in net, look, could they flip the switch, like I said, and bring their A game and look awesome? Ottinger's capable of it, sure. Thompson's capable of it, sure. Binnington's capable of it, sure. Throw Hellebuck in there. We're going to see him for Team USA. How good was he last night? 5 goals, against Montreal. He hasn't been great, really, since he's been back either. So all these goalies representing Canada and the U.S., and we'll dive into this next week, think about team total overs for the opponent. Honestly, who has all the faith in the world based on what you've seen right now in Hellebuck, Ottinger, Thompson, and Binnington? Who's got faith in those guys right now? Like, they're all fighting it with their confidence at the moment. So something to keep in mind when we turn to the Olympic hockey tournament next week in Italy. The rest of the night, we saw Calgary 4-3 win against Edmonton, and boy, what a soundbite from Leon Draisaitl in the post game, throwing the coach under the bus, the coaches, the goalies, Tristan Jarry. Now, he did say we have to defend better. We have to play better away from the puck. He also mentioned the defensemen and even the forwards have to help out and be better defensively too. But he really made sure he mentioned the goalies and the coaches. He said even the coaches have to be better. So maybe a little shot to Knobloch and the coaching staff. And here's the thing with Knobloch too. We'll get your guys' thoughts. In the post game, this is another bad loss. Calgary's been terrible for a week or two now, and you lose to them on a back-to-back after losing to Toronto the night before, giving up goals in bunches lately. And here's Chris Knobloch with the old, I'd like to see a little fire and brimstone. I'd like to see a little pissed off in him every now and then, a little anger, a little venom, getting a little upset. And here he is with his just little mundane, I know we just, they got us in the special teams. And I think one of the, just in that tone of voice, and it's just no anger, no, get after it, man. This has been a brutal stretch for your hockey team. Just once, I'd like to see a little ticked off, little pissed, little angry, rattle some cages, rattle some feathers a little bit. Is that asking too much? Now, I know this is a guy that's taken his team to the Cup final 2 years, done a lot of nice things here. But every now and then, I want to see that out of this guy after a horrible horseshit game. I'd like to see that once, just once. I'd like to see that little anger, little venom, and get after somebody when it's been a weak stretch of horrendous play from this Edmonton Oilers team. What do you think about that, Alex? Am I crazy?
No, I completely agree. And we like Chris Knobloch as a coach as a whole. He's done, like I said, incredible things with this team in the last couple of years, but down the stretch this season has been bad. And like I said, there have been moments, even in going back those last years, there's moments where he's been too much of a substitute teacher. He's been kind of quiet and dilly down around. You've got superstars in there. You've got the talent. And that's what's got to be frustrating for Draisaitl companies. This is the team that he knows can play at a very high level, high enough to represent the West in the fucking Stanley Cup final. They did it the last 2 years. So to have this kind of a drop off, and of course you've had personnel changes as well, but that's frustrating. And your coach has to reflect that. And Leon Draisaitl saying that, publicly ain't enough. Knobloch got to be saying that publicly, and Knobloch got to be saying that and chewing some asses in that locker room. And I think that's when we'll start to see that switch flicker on. But if that doesn't happen, then you're just going to see same old Edmonton, and then they'll peter right into the playoffs and peter right out in the first or second round.
Yeah, no doubt. That's just a little bit. And I that's a fair point that Anthony says in the chat. You don't see Draisaitl unless it's on the power play. He is a great power play player, but you're right. There's games on 5-on-5. You can't distinguish him from anybody else. There are some games like that. There are with Leon Draisaitl. There's certainly been some games like that lately. So, that's a fair assessment. You don't always get a great 5-on-5 game, no question, out of Draisaitl. No doubt. Vegas takes care of Vancouver 5-2. I wouldn't say there's a ringing endorsement that Vegas is back on track. Vancouver's that bad. We'll see if Vegas can string wins together when they play LA tonight, but they do beat Vancouver 5-2. And we were all over this. Now, the only thing I would have changed is I would have rather had Seattle score the first goal, because we did have Seattle first goal, first period. LA actually made it 1-0, but Seattle got the next three. We cashed the first period money line, full game money line with Seattle. We were all over this. Brutal spot for LA, long road trip. Seattle already beat LA once when they were on a back-to-back, the Kraken, and they did it again last night. A nice victory for the Seattle Kraken, 4-2 over the LA Kings last night in that one. Putting a little damper for at least a little bit on the big news of the day, the Artemi Panarin trade to the Los Angeles Kings, which we did talk about, obviously, on the show yesterday because it had already happened as we were on the air. David, your thoughts on what we saw last night? How did it go for you?
Yeah, I had a pretty good night. Ended up 7-2. Had that Minnesota over, which was nice, winning in the first period as one of my big plays, and then had the
I'm wondering
over
who
in the Oilers Calgary game.
Yeah, who did?
I know. I mean, these games, the games are flying. They're finishing everything. They're not afraid to push it on offense now, and it's just been free money. I think you said 18-2 since the trade. Yeah, so pretty good day yesterday, 7-2, and ready to do it again today.
Unmute myself. There we go. I wanted to mention too. We had a bargain bin. Did we yesterday? No, I don't think we did.
I did. Yeah, Perlo hit with a bargain bin special. Perlo.
That's right. Yeah, you're right. Plus Perlo at Kasperi Kapanen. Right. So shout out to Perlo, because I knew we had. Yeah, I knew we had one. But yeah, it was our guest. It was Perlo with Kasperi Kapanen last night. But I also want to shout out some of the chat. Aaron had a bargain bin that I know hit for him, and he posted it in the chat. Robert Carlson, our good friend, he's on pretty much all the betcasts. He had Lane Hudson bargain bin last night for the Montreal Canadiens plus 500. So make sure you check out the chat. Our chat, these guys are smart hockey people. They really are. Like, they're not just here to learn from us. Trust me. They've got their own thoughts. They've got their own opinions. They watch the games too. They're smart. They make good bets too, just like we do. So pay attention to some of these bargain bin and best bet selections that the chat is mentioning on a daily basis. So, like I said, it is they know what they're talking about too, and there were some good winners given out by the chat yesterday on the card, no question. With that in mind, let's try to give out some good winners today for this final slate of NHL action before the break for this Thursday. We'll start with Nashville, Washington. Washington minus 160 home favorites, 6 the total in this game. We've got Nashville on the heels of a disappointing, considering, they had a chance to win that game. They did get a point, but they lose 6-5 to Minnesota last night. Pretty tough turnaround when you think about it for Nashville. That was a very, very high pace, high energy game last night against Minnesota, and you got to turn around now, play on the back-to-back, and certainly Washington with the rest advantage here. They played the Islanders 2 nights ago, not the Islanders, sorry, Philadelphia, and they got the job done over the Flyers in that game or they lost, I should say, to the Philadelphia Flyers 4-2, following on the heels of the night before when they beat the Islanders 4-1, losing to Philly 4-2. Of course, Clay Stevenson, who was recently called up, started both of those games, but Logan Thompson is back for the Washington Capitals tonight. He will get one game in for the Capitals before the Olympic break, before he heads to Italy to represent Team Canada. Now, his absence has not been, we've talked about the rust and this problem with goalies coming back from an injury. This is a little different with Logan Thompson because he's only been out for about a week. His last appearance was January 27, basically a week ago. So it's not the long, extended absence, that we have seen with Aiden Hill, with Anthony Stolars, with Mackenzie Blackwood, with some of these other goalies that have really struggled in that first start. That being said, Logan Thompson's form before the injury was trending down. 3 goals allowed to San Jose, to Florida, 4 goals to Vancouver, 5 goals and a loss to Seattle. The last time we saw him before the injury absence. So his form, was not great down the stretch for the Washington Capitals. So, yes, it's not as big of an absence. The rust may not be as prevalent, but he wasn't in the best form before the injury, Logan Thompson. Meanwhile, you've got Eustace on, and I'm going to not say useless at the moment, believe it or not. He's played better, actually. We'll give him that for the Nashville Predators. He'll get the start here on the back-to-back. And you look at his recent form, he actually shut out St. Louis last time he was in net. He gave up 3 to New Jersey on 35 shots, though. So all things considered, still played pretty solid. He has had some better performances of late for Nashville. Does that mean I'm fully ready to trust him here? No, still got to see a little bit more. I'm just not saying he hasn't been that automatic red light district where, early in the season, he's basically good to give up 4 or 5 goals every time. Hasn't been that way nearly as much of late for Eustace on. And then that being said, with the pace both teams are playing, with the defensive warts both teams have shown, this feels like it could be high scoring. But then I looked at series history, and can you believe it that we've had 8 straight unders between the Nashville Predators and the Washington Capitals? 8 straight meetings have gone under the total. And the amazing part is not one of those 8 games even got to 6 goals. Not one. We've seen 5 goals or fewer in 8 straight games between the Predators and the Capitals. Yet everything you're seeing the last couple days tells you there should be goals tonight between these two teams. So what I'm going to do is not going to bet it pregame. I'm going to wait for maybe a live 5.5 if it shows up. Maybe it does start slow, and then we get a 5.5. And if we do, maybe I'll bet it at that number. Not going to take it pregame. But I am going to sprinkle on the draw. I think I have to. Nashville's been a very, very strong draw team of late. We've seen a lot of their games flirt with overtime or a shootout. 3 of the last 5 have gone past regulation for the Predators. 3 of the last 6 have gone past regulation for the Capitals as well. And then you factor in that 3 of the last 4 meetings with these two teams have been decided by 1 goal, flirting with overtime or a shootout again. So draw, and I will look for a live over. Alex, what do you think here, Nashville, Washington?
I have the draw. I got plus 337, but I like this over pregame at 6.5. And I didn't get to talk about my recap from last night, but the biggest thing overall.
Go ahead. Yep.
No, it's fine. But the biggest takeaway was regarding Nashville and Minnesota last night. I liked Nashville tied with the over as the best bet. And the reason for that was I felt like we could see Nashville just come out and get a jump on a team that's got a lot of guys that their head may not be, here. Their heads are getting ready for Milan. And we saw that, you said with Dallas too, how Dallas kind of let up and let St. Louis back in that game. We're going to see some wonkiness. It's not your usual just, everybody's getting ready for break like we see for Thanksgiving or Christmas. This is where you got certain, your best players on these teams are all the ones that are getting ready to leave. So they're the ones that could be out of sorts and a little disjointed. And you saw Matt Boldy go off for Minnesota, had that hot first period carrying them on their own, but then all of a sudden you look, it's 3-3 at the end of the 20. Where were the rest of the guys? And if you get out to a lead and you're a team and you're getting ready to travel, the majority of you, you say, okay, we got our goals. Maybe we take kind of ease back on the gas a little bit, or if we don't have it in the first period, fuck it. Let's not go all balls out. Let's got to conserve our energy because we've got a trip coming. So that's making it where you were seeing these wide open games and leads aren't safe. It had like a playoff field a couple of games last night. And I expect that to be the case here too. So I think the draw is live, but I love this over. I have no reason to wait for it. It's 6.5, still get within minus $1.10. I got actually minus $1.08 to be exact. I think this is going to be a high scoring game. Logan Thompson trying to get ready so he can, like I said, be in the mix as far as the Olympics goes, but he's got some rust to shake off. Eustace Ananen, like you said, his numbers have been better, but better than what? He's played like dog shit for most of his career. So give me the over. Give me both teams to score in the first period as well, and give me that draw.
All right, there we go. To hell with the 8 straight unders. And I'm kind of in that same boat. Like, I know it's 8 straight unders, but when you watch these teams, it's hard to envision them playing low-event hockey right now, the way both of them have been trending in the last 5 to 10 games. David, what do you think here? Preds Caps.
Yeah, I'm with Alex here on the over. I think it's a good spot. You got Logan Thompson coming back. Yeah, I think it's an iffy spot. You kind of wedge this game in between a little short return from energy or from the break from the injury, and then coming back and flying to Milan right after a break. You got Nashville. I mean, defensively, they're just not afraid to play back and forth hockey right now. We've seen it the last few games. We saw it last night, especially. They're kind of falling apart defensively a little bit more, allowing a lot more chances than they were at the beginning of the season. And over with Nashville right now. I think that they can come out early and score 1 or 2, and I think the Caps turn it up a little bit. And I think like you said, it's a good spot to live bet an over at 5.5 if it falls. And I like the Caps team total over as well on this one.
All right, there you go. Liking the over and the Capitals team total, David, for this Nashville and Washington game. Just as far as the props go for this one, just a couple things to point out. Forsberg's red hot. 4 straight games with a goal for him. I can't believe I'm saying it, but give me Anthony Beauvillier. Yeah, 2 straight games with a goal for him for the Washington Capitals. He obviously got on the board as well against Philadelphia, despite losing that game 4-2, and he is playing with Strome and Ovechkin.
If he scores tonight, he may not score the rest of the way when they come back from the break.
Yeah, then if he gets to the 3 straight games with a goal mark, then you'd go about expecting him to plunder again and not score again for quite some time.
Undershots.
Ethan Frank's birthday. Yeah, Ethan Frank's birthday, says Benji in the chat. So maybe you look at the birthday boy, Ethan Frank, to find the back of the net here for Washington. In this game. Pierre-Luc Dubois, you down with PLD? Yeah, you know me. I didn't even mention that yet. Some reason he's playing tonight. Like, he's been out forever. He's back for 1 stinking game before the Olympic break. Like, why don't you just save him for after the break at this point? Like, bringing him back for 1 game before the break is kind of a weird decision, odd timing, if you will. But
I'd like to think that maybe he'll get some time with Hershey too in conditioning. I know we've seen that's something we're going to see too, mostly with younger players getting sent down to AHL for conditioning during the time off. But I guess that's probably the reason why they're throwing him in. If he plays 1 game, I think he'd be eligible to be sent to Hershey for conditioning and get ready for coming back.
Yeah, that might be a nice. That might be a good decision to make if you're a Washington. Let him, get some of the ring rust off, so to speak. Give him an opportunity maybe down in the AHL to get a little bit more in rhythm here before the NHL season resumes following the Olympic break. All right, Pittsburgh, Buffalo. We've got Buffalo minus 130, home favorites, 6.5 the total. Now, I am on this over. I like both of these teams offensively right now. Do you know both of them have scored 4+ goals in 6 of the last 8 games? I mean, boy, 4+, which is very, very impressive what we've seen from both teams, at the offensive end of the ice. It is going to be Artur Shilovs and Alex Lyon in net here for the respective teams. Lyon's been very good of late. We did see him, give up a few against Florida, although Buffalo did come back to win that game. The Panthers were able to put the puck in the net a handful of times there against Lyon and the Sabres. Pittsburgh, we obviously know they're in a pretty good offensive rhythm right now at this point in time. Now, Rickard Rakell is out for the Pittsburgh Penguins. I don't know if they're going to skip a beat, though, with Crosby and Rust on that top line, because guess who Dan Muse is tabbing to replace Rakell on the top line? It's the red hot, scorching hot Yegor Shinikov, who they got from Columbus, and he has been unbelievable since joining the Penguins. He's been spectacular, and I think definitely you could see him make an impact playing with Crosby and Rust, if that is indeed what they go with on the top line, which I think they will. Rutger McGroarty, Thomas Novak, and Malkin. That looks like your second line. Mantha, Kindle, Brazeau, the third line for the Penguins. So that's how it's going to look as far as up front. Letang's still out. Caleb Jones, obviously the suspension. He's out as well for Pittsburgh. For Buffalo, it looks like Zach Benson, is still a no-go for them. Obviously, Norris, Kulik still on the IR. So Peyton Krebs remains on the top line. Krebs could have some value again as long as he stays there with Thompson and with Tuck on that top line for the Buffalo Sabres going into this game. We always talk about Josh Stone being a threat. I mean, that's nothing new or different. Zucker, McLeod, Quinn's been an effective line. I just think with the way these teams are trending right now, this is an over bifecta for me. And Buffalo continues to be a very good first period over team. The first period over has been very, very potent for a lot of teams in the NHL. If you look at Chris Otto's terrific totals charts, Buffalo have been one of them. So first period over, full game over for me. Nothing on the side. I don't really want to bet against Pittsburgh off a loss, and I don't want to bet against Buffalo off a loss. These are two teams off a loss, two teams playing pretty well. Don't really want to fade either of them in this spot, and I think both of them are going to want to come out here and get 2 important points before the break. Alex, what do you think here in this matchup, Pittsburgh, Buffalo?
So now this is one where I do like goals as well, but I'm waiting for the over bifecta in game. Pre-game, I am betting goal in first 5 minutes, plus 156, and both teams to score at plus 150. You talked about saying some teams don't want to see the break come to a close, coming to a head here, like Columbus. I think Buffalo is probably in that same boat too. This is the best hockey they've played in ages. And I'm sure that their fan base wants to see them keep rolling. And them as a team want to keep rolling with this good mojo. So I'm curious to see how Buffalo looks after the break because of how well they've played. This has been such a fantastic run. You want to see them pick up right where they leave off. And I think, like I said, we're definitely going to see some high energy and good pace both ways. So a little bit of insurance grabbing that goal in the first 5 minutes at plus money, but I'm waiting to try and grab a 6, waiting to get a little bit of a better price in that first period over. And I do like both teams to score against this.
No doubt. And by the way, Josh Doan for Buffalo, Yegor Shinikov for Pittsburgh, both on multi-game goal-scoring streaks. They have both scored in back-to-back games for their respective teams. David, what are you thinking here, Pittsburgh-Buffalo?
Yeah, I'm with you there on the over at 6.5. I think both these teams coming in hot off of some really good offensive play for both teams. The Penguins have been putting together their best offensive performances of the season over the last few weeks. Same with Buffalo, obviously. And coming into the break, I think that both these teams are going to want to leave it on the ice. I think they're both going to be flying a bit. Compared to some of the other teams that are probably looking forward to the break, such as like Florida and stuff, I think both these teams are going to come out flying, and I like the over.
Yeah, no doubt. It's not Shinikov and Doan are my favorite looks for the goal props tonight. But Mantha, I agree, he would be next in line. 3 of the last 5 he's scored for the Penguins. Kindle, we've talked about him. He's scored in 3 of the last 5. He's worth a smaller shot too, in my mind, coming into this game. No doubt. Like we've already talked about Doan, obviously, what he's been able to do. Brazeau, he's scored obviously in a couple of the last 5 games as well. The 3 of the last 10 for Brazeau. So, like I said, it's a good game for goal props. There's some really good prices, really good opportunities here with two teams that are having, a decent amount of offensive success as well. And 3 of the last 4 meetings, if I'm not mistaken, have also been over the total between these two teams. Yeah, 3 of the last 4 have gone over the total. Again, Shelovs and Lyon will be the goaltenders here tonight. I will probably bet Buffalo live if they're trailing at some point. We know they're a comeback team. They've shown it a bunch of times. They were trailing Tampa. They got that game to overtime. They were down 2-0 to Florida, and they came back and they won that game. So if I do see Buffalo at plus money trailing at any point against the Penguins tonight, I will probably jump in with Buffalo at that point. So we'll see if that is indeed something that appears at any point during the game. All right, next up, Ottawa, Philly. We've got the Senators minus 135, road favorites, 6 the total in this game. We've seen a little bit of a price increase here as far as the Ottawa here. It opened around minus 125, minus 130. It's gone up now to the 35-40 range. I still like it at this price. I like Ottawa here, minus 135. They are playing some good hockey. They've just needed some saves. The Carolina game, and David was, as he sees every Carolina game pretty much, that was, and even he agrees, that was about as good as a team's played in Carolina against the Hurricanes and not win the hockey game. 26-19 were the shots in favor of Ottawa. When's the last time Carolina has not reached 20 shots on goal at Lenovo? Boy, it's been a long time since we've seen that. They played well. Unfortunately, the second Jarvis goal in that game for Carolina, I thought it was, got to have that if you're Reimer. It goes under his arm and through him a little bit. That's a stoppable puck. And the margin for error is very slim in that building against that team. You got to make those kind of saves when you've been playing well enough to win. And that's been the issue for Ottawa all throughout the season. The stats are great. The numbers are great. They're suppressing shots. They're playing good defensively. They're an analytical darling, the Ottawa Senators, but they just have not been getting the consistent goaltending, and that's been ruining them a little bit. Now, Philadelphia is off a nice win against Washington. Boy, did they need it. 4-2 to snap their ugly losing streak, but feasted on a Washington team on a back-to-back. Philly had a massive rest advantage for that game. Feasted on a Washington team with a minor league call-up goaltender in Clay Stevenson. Although to Stevenson's credit, he played solid, but like I said, there was a lot of things that went Philly's way in that game against Washington. They're just playing a team that I think is flat out better. And while we've talked about Rick Tocchet early in the season off a loss, which was a pretty good trend, off a win, the last 6 games, Philadelphia 1-5. 1-5 is their record, Philadelphia, the last 6 games off a win. So stringing good performances together has been difficult for the Flyers. So give me Ottawa minus 135. It's the only bet I made. I have nothing on the total here in this game. Alex, what do you think? Senators, Flyers.
Yeah, it's funny. I may have to lay the price as well because I was trying to justify, could I take them in regulation? Like, no, this could easily be a draw. We saw the last meeting with these two teams go past regulation, but I like Ottawa in this spot. So this will be one where I will bet maybe small Ottawa money line pregame, but I'll go live more so with the team total, try and get that 2.5, or a flat 3 at a better price live at MGM.
No doubt. Dan Vladar confirmed for Philadelphia. Yeah, he was better in the last game, but he hasn't been nearly as on top of it since he's been back from his injury. And like I said, the team just has had a lot of problems and a lot of breakdowns, and Ottawa's just been way more buttoned up at the defensive end. Now, it's not confirmed, but I fully expect Linus Ullmark here for Ottawa. Final game before the break, and he has been really good. You talk about a goalie that hasn't been rusty coming back. His was not an injury absence, though. His was just a leave of absence, personal matters, and he's been great. And I know David might bring it up, and even I took a glance at it. Goals saved above expected, goals saved above average for Ullmark in these few games since he's been back. He's been really good in that department. Like, he's playing some really good goaltending, giving them some really good goaltending since he's been back, and that might be enough to get the job done. They've also owned Philly. They've won 4 straight, the Ottawa Senators, head-to-head over the Philadelphia Flyers. David, what do you think here, Ottawa, Philly?
Yeah, I mean, at that game against the Senators the other night, I mean, the second watching that game, I was hoping we won. I had the over in that game, so that worked out well. But watching that game after we won, I knew the second that it was over, I was going to take the Senators the next opportunity I was going to get. I mean, they dominated that game. We got pretty smoked as badly as it's going to get at home. They've been playing great hockey. I think this is another great opportunity to bet them. Since Ullmark came back from his injury, he's just been or not from injury, from his leave of absence. He's just been a whole different goalie. It's looked like. So we know that it's in him. We know that his talent's all there. I think a lot of it's mental. So I think this is a good spot to back them against Philly.
Yeah, I think too. Another thing too I think he's playing pissed too about the narrative and the public gossip and the unfounded rumors that were going around about the the cheating and the affairs and all all that BS. I think he's playing with like a little bit of an anger too. Like, hey, it's time to stick it up your ass. I'm going to show you, and I'm going to play great hockey now that I'm back for the Ottawa Senators. And he's been doing that. He's been great here in these few games since he's been back. As far as props for Ottawa, Philly, Stützle, I mean, if you're going to ride the hot hand for Ottawa, it's definitely Tim Stützle right now. 4 straight games with a goal for him coming into this particular matchup. He's probably worth riding at this point if you're looking at an Ottawa goal prop more than anybody. Amadio, that's a good call. I do think Amadio is someone to keep an eye on. He scored against Philadelphia. Sometimes you just have a good go of it against a particular team. You just have their number. Look at Bobby McMahon this week. He loves going back to Alberta. He seems to score when he goes to Alberta against Calgary and Edmonton, and he did in both of those games. And Amadio has had a lot of success against Philadelphia in the past. So that could be one worthy of a wager here tonight as well in this game. All right, David's Carolina Hurricanes next up on the docket as they take on the New York Rangers. We have Carolina minus 210 road favorites. The total here sitting at 6 shaded to the over in this game. David raised an interesting point before we started the show, saying that everyone's going to be thinking, well, Rangers stink. Rangers can't get out of their own way. And now they just traded away Artemi Panarin to the Los Angeles Kings for a very, very suspect return to the New York Rangers. And I think Greentree's a nice player and could be a nice player in the NHL, but it was still a very, very light return. And we're hearing things that Drury did have options to go elsewhere with the Kings, but apparently just made that deal. Got to give the Panarin camp credit. They played the market well. They took Drury and his camp and the Rangers management group pretty much to the cleaners here. Drury somehow was in a rush to get this done before the Olympic break, failing to recognize or understand that the real deadline, the drop dead, final trade deadline is in March. You could have actually waited, tried to extract a little more value, a little better return for Artemi Panarin, but no, wasn't interested in doing that apparently. But nevertheless, he is out of there, and now a team that, especially at home, has had issues scoring goals and generating offense. Now you take Breadman out of there, and it could be a little bit more challenging here to do that moving forward. But David brought up a good point off the air, saying, maybe now that he's gone, this trade's been done. Maybe everyone just, plays hard for at least one night, in the first game without Panarin. Could that happen? Sure. But I can't put my money on the New York Rangers. I just can't, at this point in time. Brandon Bussey confirmed in net for the Carolina Hurricanes, and Jonathan Quick will be in net here for the New York Rangers. I'm just going to keep this simple. I'm going to take a shot with team total over 3.5 for the Carolina Hurricanes in this game. Just thinking they can get 4. I mean, you could lay the puck line too, but I just, what I always say this. I'd rather have just back the team to score 4 rather than the puck line and trust them to win by 2 goals or more, because you just never know what could happen in that scenario. They could get an empty net goal. They could have the lead, and there's a late goal, and the Rangers cut it to 1 goal. You just never know. And the Rangers always do seem to be up to play Carolina, but I just don't think they're in a good way right now. I think Carolina, too, kind of knows they got away with a bit of a subpar performance against Ottawa the other night. Maybe they're going to look to step it up tonight. So that's the only bet for me pregame here. Carolina team total over 3.5. Minus 120. Alex, what do you think here? Canes, Rangers.
I think there could be a little pep in the step early with the Rangers. Like you said, the distraction, the headache has now moved on. I took a shot with Rangers first goal, first period, plus 170.
Oh, very good.
But once that happens, should that happen, I would be looking at all things Carolina, maybe taking a shot with grabbing them at a better price money line. even regulation money line might actually be the way I would go, because that's still a 1-0 Rangers lead means Carolina's now what minus 160, 170. So still might have to go regulation with it. But I think that's the way I can see it. I can see Rangers jumping out early, getting a goal, and then looking to grab all things Carolina team total and money line after that.
I'm going to give Alex all the credit in the world if that cashes, but even if it doesn't, that's a reasonably solid, logical approach in my mind. I could see them early having a little gusto, the New York Rangers tonight, playing a little bit more.
Because it's next man up, right? Like you lost one of your best scorers, and you've already struggled to score at home. So that next man up mentality has to at least be there early in the contest, in my opinion.
Yeah, very well. It could be. You could get that little. They could get that energy early in the game from the New York Rangers, and maybe they do get on the board first, but then maybe it dissipates a little bit for them. Yeah, Gabe Perreault is this is going to have to be Rangers a group effort by committee to pick up the slack here. It's going to be Zibanejad, Trocheck, Laba, Carrick down the middle at center, Perreault and Miller on the top line with Zibanejad, Cooley and Lafreniere with Trocheck. I think Perreault and Cooley would be the ones I'd be interested in if I'm going to bet any New York Ranger props tonight. Meanwhile, on the Carolina side of the equation, it's pretty much status quo with their lines. But right now, you got to roll with the captain, don't you? Jordan Staal for the Carolina Hurricanes. He has been certainly heating up of late. 2 straight games with a goal, 4 in the last 10, 3 in the last 5. So Jordan Staal in that plus 380, 400 range for Carolina. I mean, if you're going to ride the hot hand right now, he's one. Aho too. I mean, Aho has scored in 3 straight games, but obviously not as good of a price at plus 170. But Stahl's been rolling. The captain, back-to-back games with a goal. That's a good enough price to look in that direction as well. David, what do you think here? Your Canes and the Rangers.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the best way to approach this one is taking the team total over. Quick has been really struggling with the Rangers this year since just Sirkin's been out. I think that the Canes are going to dominate this game, especially after a fortunate result and for the first time all season getting dominated a little bit. I'm a little wary of a couple of the guys going to like Aho, who's going to the Olympics, but I mean he's a competitor. He's probably going to be pretty locked in. I think some props are also a good way to approach this one. Yeah, that's a great. I mean, his numbers have been struggling.
-15.4 goals saved above expected for Jonathan Quick. Is that good? Obviously, it's not. I'm being funny. Yeah.
Not great. I mean, their overs have just been cruising. A lot of their games have just been, or other teams' team totals just been flying over. I think some props are a good way to approach this. Some guys who are not going to the Olympics, such as Svechnikov, obviously with Russia not being there, and then Seth Jarvis, of course, being a questionable miss for Team Canada. He's been flying everywhere the last few games. So I think Jarvis shots on goal over and Andrei Svechnikov shots on goal over are some decent looks here. And the Rangers do allow the third most chances to defensemen. So, if Keandre Miller is gonna get his chance to get a little revenge in New York, I think that this might be his chance. So yeah, I like those props, and I like the Canes team total over 3.5.
Good stuff. And David's been pretty good with Hurricanes props. I've noticed he's posted a bunch on social media, on Twitter, and noticed he's doing cashes of good.
As he should be. It's his team.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. Yeah, no doubt.
I know it hurts a little bit more when they don't hit, doesn't it?
Right. Yeah. No, I get it though, and that's the thing. You feel like you watch that team enough. You feel like you have a pulse on the player. I do the same thing with the Hawks. So, and that's kind of how that goes.
No doubt. You don't have any more knowledge of a team than your own team, especially if you're a fan of them. There's no question about that. All right, next up, Islanders, Devils, even money, -110, both sides, 5.5 the total. So we're on the BetCast. Columbus shuts out New Jersey, and after that game, and this has been a continued pattern of just really listless, awful hockey from the New Jersey Devils. After that game, I pretty much said, I'm just going to fade the Devils every game at every reasonable price moving forward. They're that bad right now. They're ass. I'm on the Islanders here, -110. I think it's just very cheap. Jake Allen's in net. He's capable, but the rest of the team isn't capable. Jake Allen can't score goals for this team. Without Jack Hughes, they are lifeless offensively right now, this Devils team. There's so many guys that are a fucking disappointment. Meyer, what's he done lately? Bratt has cooled off immensely of late. Like, they are an absolutely horrendous team at the moment, the New Jersey Devils. The one thing they could bank on was scoring. They can't even do that now. Defensively, they're hit or miss. And the Islanders, nice comeback win against Pittsburgh. I don't think there's a let up for Patrick Waugh's team. They saw what happened last night. Another Columbus victory to make 10-1 in their last 11, to move Columbus within 2 points of the Islanders for that final third place Metro spot, and would knock them out of a playoff spot as well. There's urgency here. There should be urgency here for the Islanders with Columbus, right on their heels now. You don't want to relinquish this playoff spot, and you want to finish this pre-Olympic break schedule with a win, especially with Columbus, trimming the deficit right behind you now. So, yeah, it's cheap enough. But give me the Islanders here, -110. They're the better team. And Sorokin in net, too, is confirmed. And obviously, and that's the only thing I was waiting on. I may have passed on betting the Islanders if David Riddick had started this game. But with Ilya Sorokin in net, I'm totally in. Give me the Islanders here. Alex, what do you think? Islanders, Devils.
Yeah, and this isn't a team that's loaded with guys who are going to the Olympics. And even if they were, Patrick Waugh wouldn't give a shit. Patrick Waugh is an Olympian and a champion, and he understands what you have to do in the mindset of, he knows, like I said, where his team's at right now, and getting 2 more points before getting this break, knowing what kind of crush they're going to be in this wild card race with 51 days after the break comes back. Yeah, this is going to be a all hands on deck game, I feel like, for the Islanders too. So give me the Isles in regulation, plus 147 price available over at BetOnline.
I think they've owned the Islanders too. Yes, they have. I knew
the Devils.
Yeah, I had noticed that earlier. Yeah, Islanders have won 4 straight over the Devils, 6 of the last 7. I guess
9-0,
the one thing,
right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing that in the back of my mind I had a minor concern about. The last time these teams played, the Islanders totally embarrassed the Devils 9-0. Does that resonate in the Devils' minds and they come out guns blazing tonight after getting them? I don't even know if they're good enough that it matters. I don't know if they're good enough to make amends for it. They really suck right now. They really do. I mean, if you watch this team, there's nothing that they do that you can say, well, that's something we can build on right now. There's nothing with this team. So I don't even care that they lost 9-0 and they're going to be angry. And I don't even think it matters as much because they're just not playing well. And I don't know if they're good enough to do anything about it. That's how bad it is right now.
If that had been 2 weeks ago with that 9-0 loss, then I'd say, okay, maybe I look at a over, maybe New Jersey first goal, first period, New Jersey first period money line, something like that. But it's been almost a month, and like I said, they just don't have the talent. They don't have the horses right now. So yeah, I don't think that's going to matter too much.
Yeah, they've lost 4 or 5. They've scored obviously just 1 goal in the last 2 games combined. Jack Hughes still out, shut down, and now there's real skepticism about his ability to be available for Team USA, next week at the Winter Olympics. So like I said, it's just snowballing here right now for the New Jersey Devils at this point in time. David, what do you think here? Isles Devils.
Yeah, I'm with you guys here. I love the Islanders. The Devils just kind of forget how to play hockey when Hughes is not on the ice. Last 4 years, they are 31, 43, and 6 with winning 38% of games without Hughes compared to 55% with him. So They're winning 55% of games with him and 38% with him not on the ice. They kind of just forget how to play hockey, and this is not a good spot going up against Sorokin. So, yeah, I love the Islanders here. I think it's a great spot.
This is where Jonathan Davis chimes in with his regular line that I've heard a million times, and I'm sure I'm going to either see it in the chat or I'm hearing it in my mind right now, that Jack Hughes sucks the oxygen or sucks the life out of the room. He says that all the time about Jack Hughes with this New Jersey team. And he sucks the life out of winning when he's not on the ice. And that's a great stat by David mentioning the difference, obviously, Jack Hughes versus not Jack Hughes on the ice for the New Jersey Devils. As far as props for this game, mostly Islander props. Barzal has scored in 3 straight games. I mean, Matthew Schaefer has scored in 3 of the last 5 games. The defenseman is starting to really pop offensively again and get involved in the goal scoring. So he might be worth a look. I would say J.G. Pajot as well. We've talked about J.G. Pajot. He scored in 4 of the last 10 games for the Islanders, and at that plus 550, plus 600 range, it's probably not a bad option to take a shot.
Callum Ritchie.
Yeah.
Callum Ritchie moved up to the top line too. You've had him as a bargain before.
I did. That's a good call on that. Yeah, I see that. He might be, like I said, tonight on the top line with Cal Ritchie for the Islanders. So if that's the case, yes, put that in your
Pretty
prop.
interesting also. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry. But in 20 games without Jack Hughes this season, the Devils are at a minus 20 goal differential in 20 games. That's pretty poor.
Very poor. Yeah, very poor. And obviously, look, they've been without him now for, a handful of games here down the stretch. Like I'm just looking at the Jack Hughes game log here. Two games without him, and they get outscored 7-1 in those two games. 4-1 against Ottawa, 3-0 against Columbus. So, not good.
Hence the regulation look for me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, this might be one where the draw might not be your best option. All right, next up, Battle of Tampa Bay. This is ESPN Plus tonight on the streaming platform with Bob Wischusen and Ray Ferraro, the last, national game before the Olympic break. We got Tampa Bay minus 190, home favorites, 6 the total here in this game. Over by Fecta here for me. I mean, Florida's an offense, no defense team right now. That's what they've turned into. Look at the Buffalo game. Look at the Boston game. There's breakdowns galore defensively, out of position, making mistakes, turning the puck over, hemmed in the defensive zone, failing to get the puck out. Bobrovsky last night, in his recent starts, he hasn't been shutting the door for the Florida Panthers. So they've kind of become this team where they're scoring goals and they're giving up way more now. Of late, and it continues to trend that way. This is a game where we do expect some level of animosity, so there could be more power plays, more chippy play, an opportunity to obviously see, power plays for both teams. And I'll say this, Florida's power play started to get going last night against Boston. We know how great Tampa's power play has been all year. Andre Vasilevsky confirmed in net, no surprise there at all. No confirmation yet for Florida. This probably is Tarasov, if I had to guess. He's projected, and it is back-to-back. Tarasov had been playing well, but yikes. The last time we saw him against St. Louis, he went from just really playing well in like 3 or 4 straight starts to he was horrific against St. Louis. He really was off his game that night. So your guess is as good as mine what we're going to get from Danil Tarasov here tonight. And when it comes to Nick Paul and Anthony Cirelli, both being out, and I think they're both out once again here tonight for Tampa Bay. Cirelli is every bit as important to that team defensively as he is offensively. He's one of the best defensive players on this Tampa Bay Lightning team. So they suffer more in terms of defensive ability with Anthony Cirelli out. And that could open the door as well for the Panthers offensively to do a little more damage. So, I think a spirited game. It's Florida-Tampa. I know Florida's way down in the standings compared to Tampa Bay, but Tampa Bay's been on a roll. They don't want this roll to end. They found ways to win against Boston and Buffalo the last 2 games. Expect this still to be a very entertaining game. Apparently, Scott Sabourin might be in the lineup tonight for Tampa Bay, called up, and you know what that guy's there for. If anyone knows what kind of a player Scott Sabourin is, you know what he's there for. He's there to police things out there and make sure, the Greers of the world and the Matthew Kachucks of the world are not running around and causing shit on the ice. And remember what happened the last time these teams met. It really got nasty. So this is still, of all the games tonight, this is one you're going to want to make sure you're still tuning into without a doubt. But, for me, over by Fecta. That's what I got. Nothing on the side. I mean, Tampa's got the rest advantage. Tampa's finding ways to win. Don't really want to go against them, but obviously don't want to endorse them at a minus 190 price like this against a, sense of desperation and urgency type of effort that we should reasonably come to expect here from Florida tonight with where they are in the standings. Alex, what do you think here? Florida, Tampa.
Always fun to watch the Battle of Florida. Always fun to see these two teams duel in the new state of hockey. Like you mentioned, Scott Sabourin getting called up. He's there to chew gum and kick ass, and he just so happened to probably leave his gum in Syracuse. So this should be a fun one. I like the over trifecta in this one. He said more than likely we see Tarasov. I know Tarasov has played well. He's been a formidable backup. He's made leaps and bounds from where he was in Columbus. But like I said, there's some aggression I think expected him. And he's the guy I would be looking to fade even after the break. Quite possibly in some of these spots. He's not like Spencer Knight was behind Bob in those last couple of years. There's holes. And that's kind of the reason why Florida's in the spot that they're in. But with that being said, they have to, every point's important for Florida. They want to try and stay in this wild card race. You got to get these points. So you got to push. You got to prod. This has to be a high octane game. I expect that. So give me the over for trifecta.
There we go. Over trifecta. Both teams to score first period as well. Here for Alex with this one. David, what do you think here? I know you love these two teams as a Carolina Hurricanes fan. You just open your arms to them and say, I love you two teams. I love you guys. Florida and Tampa Bay.
I got nothing against the Lightning, but I mean, those Florida Panthers. I mean, you saw the hit last night, the chicken wing elbow, and then it somehow turns into a power play for the Panthers. I mean, are we surprised?
That was a little crazy.
I'm not.
Yeah,
but
out of that McAvoy situation, Florida gets the power play. Yeah, make it make sense.
Right. It was good to see him come back out though for Team USA. We'll take that,
yes.
obviously for our side. But yeah, I can only get to the over here. I mean, Florida's been playing wide open over the last couple of weeks. I think the only place I can get here is the over. I don't have anything yet, but the last meeting, I think a little over a month ago, saw 8.5 expected goals, and that one ended up going over as well. So yeah, I think the Lightning are going to come out flying here. Good rivalry spot and Florida's off that tough win last night. So yeah, I could get to the Lightning and the over is the only place I can go here.
I know Mikey in our chat said maybe because the Olympic break is after this, maybe both teams temper down the physicality tonight. All it takes is one stupid hit, one incident, one elbow to the head, and look, it is on like Donkey Kong right after that here in this game tonight. You better believe it. That's all it'll take. Trust me, to set the fuse off with these two teams. I'm going to give it away right now. I'm not waiting around. This is one of my 2 bargain bin specials on the show today. We got to take it. We got to bet it. Darren Radish, man. Darren Radish. We just have to. I mean, 5 straight games with a goal for this guy. He's playing Bobby Orr, Paul Coffey, Larry Murphy type of hockey right now on the back end for the Tampa Bay Lightning. He's been absolutely sensational. Like I said, scoring goals, shooting the puck. He's got one hell of a shot, too. We saw that obviously tie the game against Buffalo on Tuesday night. It's been like I said, 5 straight now with a goal, and you can still get plus 360, for Darren Radish to find the back of the net here tonight for the Tampa Bay Lightning here in this game tonight. But like I said, that's been a great run. No question about that. Kucherov has scored in 3 straight games for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Here's one, too, for Tampa. Oliver Bjorkstrand. You know how streaky he can be. And now all of a sudden he's scored in back-to-back games. So when he starts to percolate, back-to-back games with a goal, Oliver Bjorkstrand for Tampa Bay, you might have to just start rolling with it. And he's on the second line, so he's getting a little bit more ice time as well. For Florida, when I look at their possibilities as far as goal props are concerned, Lundell being back and on the top line, certainly there's some good value there in this game. When you look at head-to-head success with these two teams, I'm just looking at it from a head-to-head standpoint here. Tkachuk, Marchand, Reinhart, Verhaeghe, and Bennett have all had pretty good success against Tampa Bay in the past as far as finding the back of the net. Balinskis, too. Yeah, Benji, you're right. Uvis Balinskis is, we're talking about Radish playing like Bobby Orr for Tampa on the blue line. All of a sudden, Uvis Balinskis here for Tampa Bay. He scored in 2 of the last 5, and back-to-back games with a goal as well, this defenseman for Florida.
Ever since his contract extension.
Yeah, contract extension's gone right to his freaking stick, pretty much. And now it's a red-hot stick that's just, lighting the lamp offensively right now for the Florida Panthers. So, yeah, I think you do. 2 straight games with a goal, and he's scored in, let me just look, 3 of the last 10, and 2 straight, plus, $9.25, the best price out there for Uvis Balinskis tonight. So, yeah. Kuhlman Lusterinen, says Cuban Wayne Gretzky. I have no issues with that. He's playing with Bennett and Tkachuk, so there's going to be some opportunities. So, like I said, it's a good prop game. I do think there'll be goals just because I think both teams will give power play opportunities tonight to the other team. But, yeah, very fascinated to see that one, as always, when it's Panthers Lightning. All right, last game, Los Angeles, Vegas. We've got Vegas minus 130 home favorites. Total here 5.5 across the board. Some 6s, but there are some 5.5. So shop around with the total. This is the last game before the Olympic break. There's only one late game tonight, and this is it. the Kings and the Golden Knights. Kings off a loss 4-2 to Seattle. I mean, we called it yesterday. How could you pass up taking Seattle at that price yesterday? LA off the long road trip. LA in a spot where they had already lost at home to Seattle when Seattle was on a back-to-back, and the same damn thing happened last night. Seattle with the 4-2 win against Los Angeles. We'll see how they fare here. The only thing I've got here pregame is over 5.5, simply because of series history. 5 of the last 6 meetings have gone over the total. 7-3 to the over in the last 10. And look, Adin Hill is starting tonight for Vegas. .860 save percentage, 3.4 goals against that. Has not been great for Adin Hill. Not at all since he's been back from injury for the Vegas Golden Knights. My biggest concern with the 3.5, there it is, 3.5 goals against .855 save percentage for Adin Hill since he's been back. My only concern is, believe it or not, the biggest fear I have of this over cashing is Anton Forsberg. He's played very well the last few times for the Los Angeles Kings, and I'm sure we'll see him here on a back-to-back tonight after Darcy Kemper got the start last night. But Anton Forsberg against Vegas has been hit or miss in the past. Vegas at home did get their offense back on track, albeit it was Vancouver, but they did score 5 goals in that game. So over 5.5 is the only pregame bet. I don't really want either side on the money line here. I don't want Vegas, laying a price with how still flighty they've been. I know they beat Vancouver, but so what? Vancouver is not very good. And I don't trust LA enough, especially on a back-to-back, to want to take them either. So it's just over 5.5 for me pregame and a couple of props, which I'll mention in a moment. Alex, what do you think? Kings, Golden Knights.
Yeah, I like this over by the fact that I'm torn. I might add the draw too. I mean, with LA, it's never a bad look. LA draw. It's certainly been a thing so far this year, but I like the overs more. Of course, first period over, getting a good price. You can play those small now and wait for both to cross plus money territory live. But I definitely think we get the goals here, even if it is Forsberg confirmed or most likely confirmed. I still don't think that he's going to be a brick wall against this Vegas team. I think we see goals both ways.
Yeah, I'm just seeing it now. I'm gonna add the draw too, just because look at LA, man. 6 of the last 10 LA games have gone past regulation. That is 60%. 6 of the last 10 past regulation for LA. 2 straight head-to-head meetings have gone past regulation as well for the Kings and the Golden Knights. So that's enough to sell me that the draw is worth a look here. David, what do you think here? LA, Vegas.
I got nothing here right now. I don't really have a great read on Vegas. I don't know if anybody really does. You just never know when they're going to put it together. I guess they beat the Canucks, but that's about all I can get out of them. I don't know how the Kings are going to respond. I mean, you got Panarin coming in. I mean, he's obviously not playing tonight, but I don't know how that affects them. I got nothing here.
Yeah, as far as props go between these two teams, there are a few. I'm taking a shot with Brandt Clarke tonight. Brandt Clarke has scored in 50% of games against Vegas. It's a weird thing, but he seems to be either more aggressive, shooting the puck more, or just having more success. But Brandt Clarke, the defenseman for LA, has scored 50% of the time against Vegas. Same goes with Trevor Moore as well. That's something worth mentioning. Also want to mention Andrei Kuzmenko has had success against Vegas. He scored against them multiple times. And, of course, we saw him flirt with a hat trick last night for the LA Kings. So those are a couple of props I would look at. For the Vegas side, Dorofeyev. If Alexander Holtz remains on the top line, and what a great, Jonathan noticed it. Jonathan Davis, I noticed it on the top line last night. Alexander Holtz is going to be worth a look once again for the Vegas Golden Knights in this game at a very, very good price, plus 600 for him. And the other one, I told you, when this guy starts to score, and he scores multiple games in a row, ride with it. Close shave Barbashev. Yes, that's our guy. Ivan Barbashev for Vegas, plus 340. Barbashev on a 4-game goal-scoring streak for the Vegas Golden Knights entering tonight. So Barbashev, Holtz, there's a lot of good prop options here in this game, believe it or not, which you wouldn't necessarily automatically assume. Dorofeyev for Vegas as well. Kuzmenko for LA, Trevor Moore, Brandt Clarke. There's some good options here as far as props here with LA and Vegas in the nightcap and the final game in the NHL before the Olympic break. All right, great stuff. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much. And like I said, this is our last live show for basically 3 weeks. Last live show, that is. Don't worry about the Olympic hockey. We will have you covered. We will be recording every episode that we do for the Olympic hockey tournament and making that available on the Ice Guys YouTube channel. Very much looking forward to it. No question. And like I said, we're excited about that. And for us, a little chance to have a few days off. We'll be recording the first Olympic hockey show on Tuesday night. We'll put it on the YouTube channel right after we're done. And then, of course, we'll have basically recordings the night before the next slate of games. That's the way we'll go about it here throughout the Olympic hockey tournament. And the next live NHL show for the Ice Guys will be Wednesday, February 25th, when the NHL resumes following the Olympic break. So, like I said, excited about the tournament, and we've got you covered. Side total, player props, every game for the men's Olympic hockey tournament right here on the Ice Guys show. All right. WizardSportsPicks.com. Get to the website. Daily premium picks, long-term subscriptions available. Number one currently at the website in NFL and NHL. Super Bowl Sunday, of course. There'll be tons of Super Bowl options available from the handicappers there as well. And the Beyond the Lines video every day. Make sure you check that out. So get to WizardSportsPicks.com. And, of course, patreon.com/Ice Guys, $10 per month. We appreciate all the signups and all the new memberships. We will have, even with no NHL hockey, we will have plays posted. We will have some kind of card for you each day posted. Other sports, I'll post some NBA, some college basketball. We'll have the Olympic hockey card every day that there's Olympic hockey as well, as usual. So all that will still be up daily on the Patreon page. Goalie charts, totals charts, asking around to see if we can get a couple of these scheduled player suite interviews recorded during the break as well. Hoping to get some of those done and posted for our members as well. So again, looking forward to that. $10 per month. Your membership goes a long way to supporting the show and keeping it going long term. So get on board, just $10 per month. And trust me, after this break's over and NHL returns, tons of exclusive live betcasts are coming your way for our Patreon members following the Olympic break. So get on board, just $10 per month, patreon.com/Ice Guys.
I will also have a goalie chart update coming up. I'm working on something a little expansive. I want to have some data that's in there for the second half of the season, games, remaining home and road splits. So we're going to add something a little different to this update that'll be coming up in the next couple of days over at Patreon as well. So more of an expansive kind of super goalie chart, if you will, for down the stretch. But also want to check out the Ice Guys store as well while we're on the break. You've got 4 days left to save 25% off all orders right now over at the Ice Guys store. That's iceguys.myspreadshop.com. We've got caps, we've got t-shirts, we've got hats, we've got jackets. Still winter time now, but spring will be here soon enough. So this is a great time to plan ahead, save 25% off, hit that redeem button at the homepage, and you'll get that taken off at checkout. That's at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
All right, great stuff. Yep, sorry about that. There we go. Let's get the, there we go. iceguys.myspreadshop.com. There it is. Get to the website again, 25% off for the next 4 days. Take advantage of it over at iceguys.myspreadshop.com. All right, bargain bin special of the night and best bets coming up right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Wizard Sports Picks, featuring the finest handicappers in the universe. Sharp insights, trusted picks, and relentless results. We strive to help you become consistent winners. This is Wizard Sports Picks.
Please for yourself with my love is no one. Kings and Queens shop.
Thanks to all our sponsors, including Royal Cannabis. Check them out, royalcannabisshop.com, 20% off with promo code ICEGUYS. All right, for the final time before the Olympic break, it is Bargain Bin Special of the night. And it is a thanks to Perlo for giving us at least one winner last night with Kasperi capping into the Edmonton Oilers, finding the back of the net. It seems like every day we're at least getting one from anyone on the show to hit for us with the Bargain Bin Special, and we'll see if we can find at least one here tonight. Alex, we'll start with you. Bargain Bin Special of the night.
Yeah, I got two of them, and they're both over on the East Coast. First, we'll start in the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, PA. You got the Flyers taking on Ottawa Senators, and you mentioned this, and chat mentioned it as well, a guy who has done well against Philly, Michael Amadio. Get him anytime goal scorer plus 650. Is available at FanDuel, so that is my first Bargain Bin Special. My second Bargain Bin Special comes from that Rangers-Carolina game. JD's been all over this for a while. Mika Zibanejad to score the first goal, not just for the Rangers at plus 500, but first goal of the game overall at 11-1. He's done that, I think, 13 times now for the Rangers, had the first goal of the game. So Mika Zibanejad, first goal of the game, plus 1,100, and first home team goal plus 500. That would be my second and technically third Bargain Bin Specials for the year.
All right, great stuff. I like them both. They're good bargain bin choices for Alex. David, Bargain Bin Special of the night. What do you got?
Yeah, I got a couple I'm targeting too in the same game. I got Andrei Svechnikov over 3.5 shots on goal at plus 330. Last game, not going to the Olympics this year. I think it's a good spot. Last time against the Rangers, last time out, he had 10 shot attempts. So, yeah, I think he's hitting the net a lot more. He's only had a couple over the last few games. I think he gets involved here with some of the other guys headed overseas. And then I got Keandre Miller over 2.5 shots on goal at plus 350. The Rangers give up the third most shots on goal per game to defensemen. I like a little sprinkle on him at anytime goal score at plus 1,000 too. He's going to be pumped up for that first game back in New York. I think he proves them, and I think he takes some good shots, and I think he scores one.
Well, good choices too from David with Bargain Bin Special of the night. I have two. I feel like I want to just keep it at two most days. Like 3, 4, it becomes too much. It watered down. Try to keep it to two. But I'm telling you, I could have gone with 4 or 5 today easily on this show. Like honorable mention to 2 Vegas Golden Knights that I did not go with for Bargain Bin Special. I could have gone with Barbashev. I could have gone with Holtz. They're on the top line. The value's great. They're worthy considerations, but I kept it to 2. And the 2 that I'm going with, the first one I already mentioned, Darren Radish, Tampa Bay, looking to make it 6 games in a row with a goal, plus 350 for Darren Radish of the Tampa Bay Lightning for my first Bargain Bin Special of the night. My second, we're going to Buffalo, and it's Yegor Shinikov on the top line with Crosby and Rust. He's been excellent. He's been on fire, plus 360 for Yegor Shinikov, Pittsburgh Penguins. So there you go, Yegor Shinikov, Pittsburgh, plus 360. Darren Radish, Tampa Bay, plus 350 for my 2 Bargain Bin Specials of the night. And I could have gone a lot more than just those 2 tonight, but those 2 will be what I rock with for Bargain Bin Special of the night. This is a good night to check out the Patreon card for my prop list because, look, there's going to be a lot of juicy plus prices with my goal props tonight. There's definitely some good ones. So more than just the Bargain Bin, the 2 that I mentioned. So make sure you check it out and become a Patreon member. Check the picks page. Check the Patreon page later for that. All right, best bets for the final time before the break. Alex, best bet.
Let's go with the Islanders in regulation, plus 147 the price I got at Bet Online. So we can't trust the Devils. They're bums. I think, Ian, you actually said their ass. And so I would agree with that. Isles, this is definitely 2 points that they need to get before heading into the break. Patrick Roy he's gonna let his team know, hey, this is an important game. So give me the Isles, get it done within 60 plus 147. That's my best bet tonight.
All right, New York Islanders in regulation at a plus price for Alex with best bet. David, best bet.
Yeah, last day before the break, I think we got to go with 2. I'm right there with you with the Isles. The Devils completely forget how to play hockey without Jack Hughes. I mentioned it earlier. Last 4 years, they've won 38% of games without him compared to 55% with him. I think it's a great spot for the Isles. It's going to be even tougher for the Devils to score with playing against one of the best goalies in the league against Sorokin. Sorry. So yeah, I like the Isles at up to minus 120, and then the other one I'm going with is that the Caps Nashville over. I think it's a good spot against a goalie who's coming back and then headed straight overseas. A little sandwich spot for Logan Thompson, and then yeah, I think the Predators have been playing a lot faster than they were previously earlier in the season, and I think they continue that tonight and some defensive miscues. So I like the over in that one.
All right, good stuff. My best bet. Let's go with the side. I like this side. I think it is worthy best bet. It's certainly right there as my favorite play on the board. Ottawa Senators against Philadelphia. Ottawa minus 130 is the best price available. I thought they're 4-1 in their last 5 games, and the one loss they easily could have won it against Carolina. I thought they outplayed Carolina. They played well enough to win in that game. I think they bounce back tonight with Allmark and net. Philadelphia just 1-5 in their last 6 games after a win. So they have not been doing a very good job of stringing wins and stringing 2 good performances together. So I think Ottawa gets a win on the road before the break. They've beaten Philadelphia 4 straight times. I think they make it 5 in a row tonight. Ottawa minus 130 against Philadelphia for my best bet. My final best bet before the Olympic break. All right, so this is our I don't want to say final goodbye. I mean, it's only 3 weeks, but it'll be our last live show until Wednesday, February the 26th, or 25th. So make sure you join us again Tuesday. It'll be 2 p.m. Eastern, Wednesday, February 25th, when we return to NHL action following the break. But we will have pre-recorded shows posted on the Ice Guys YouTube channel throughout the Olympic hockey tournament starting next Tuesday night. So again, excited about that. And like I said, it'll be a little break, but trust me, we'll be back and better than ever for the home stretch of the NHL regular season following the Olympic break, and looking forward to the NHL season resuming at that point. And remember to check out the Patreon page. We'll still have daily cards and all kinds of stuff on the Patreon page for the members, even during the break. So make sure you're on board if you aren't already. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern, or at least will be when the NHL resumes. And if you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms: Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith and for David, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Thursday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. Enjoy the Olympic hockey tournament. We'll have you covered with every game previewed starting Tuesday night. And we will see you for our next live NHL edition of the Ice Guys right here on Wednesday, February 25th, 2 p.m. Eastern, right here on the Ice Guys.